Hello, 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 Cowboy Nation, Cowboy Nation. Coach Marv here with you today, man. Going live, man, for a few minutes. If you watched my last video that I went live and it just told you that I had 59 minutes of live and it shut off at 25 minutes. Hey, Coach Marv still trying to learn how to do this thing, and we had a little internet tafu, and internet went out on me and kind of cut my show off in half. And so I'm back on here today to try to touch bases back on that last half of the show that I missed. If you look at my thumbnail and you look at my what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about a very touchy subject sometimes with the Cowboy Nation. Sometimes it can be polarizing. Sometimes it looks like it's one of the hot topics. But I want to talk about one of our most dominant players that we have had here in a long time. We're talking today about Michael Parsons. And in some ways, I hope that this gets out to Michael Parsons in some type of way. I hope that Michael Parsons, some people out there that when you hear his name, that that this gets to him, because I think it's very important for us to realize something about a great player like Michael Parsons and what's needed from him this year, and how we can challenge this young lion to be a dominant force that we know he can be, and that he has he could be generational talent. Let me remind you, I said he could be generational talent. To explain what I mean by generational, when we talk about generational is when you do things and you change how things are being done. There's not many players that you can recall generational, because a lot of these people are breaking records or doing things that other people have done or continue to do. But this breaking a record doesn't make you generational when you change the game or how a position is looked at. I consider generational when people start comparing people to you, when they start comparing their skill sets to you. And I think this young player, Michael Parsons, has that ability. Now, if you look at me, I know some of y'all been following Coach, and y'all understand Coach is a bigger component, was a big component of Michael Parsons playing more linebacker, because that's where I thought he would be generational at. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from out there, everybody who's talking about, well, no, Coach, he's a pass rusher. That's how you get it. But generational, he was the first guy that could be coming here when he was brought in here, and he was the number one middle linebacker in college football. He was one of the top 3 run stoppers in college football. And then when you take that talent and put it along with his pass rushing ability, this is generational, because you don't get people who can do that skill set from middle linebacker, from side to side, sideline to sideline, and still have the skill set to rush the passer at the same time. That's generational. But I think we might miss the boat on that. I think it's been decided by him and someone in this organization that he's a defensive end. And I've always said, and I wonder if I tried to get it out in the atmosphere, my friend Boss Cowboy always tell me, man, that Coach does, that's one thing Coach does, he goes on everybody's show to try to get it out in the atmosphere. And I tried to get it out in the atmosphere last couple of years, that I think Michael Parsons had the ability to do something that, yes, we would call generational. I thought he had the ability to be the first player in NFL history in a season to have 135 tackles, 17.5 sacks, and 3 interceptions. With that, there's probably going to get about 3 or 4 forced fumbles. Look those stats up. There's not been a defensive player that had that type of impact and that type of stats in a season. And I think, but you can't do that from defensive end. It's going to be very hard to get the tackle numbers from defensive end. But I think, or the interception numbers. But this guy, Michael Parsons, had that ability to be that first player that could do this. Mind you, most of his sacks in his first 2 years came from blitzing up the middle. And the great Zach Martin at training camp 2 years ago said Michael Parsons off the ball playing middle linebacker and blitzing and playing middle linebacker is a terror for offensive linemen. Because guards and centers can't handle him because he's got speed and power. And they're not even to dance with him. One juke move, he's in the quarterback face in the middle of the field. So, yes. But that boat has probably passed. No, I think the Cowboys have built their defense now to say that we're building linebackers when we brought Murray in and Overshawn and Leofai. When we brought these guys in, that we probably have moved away from Michael Parsons being a middle linebacker. And now he's a defensive end. So that gets me back to what our topic is today. This live stream today, it says a new role for Michael Parsons. New expectations for Michael Parsons. What do we need from him? And how to dominate from the front. Yes. Dominate from the front. Yes, new role. Yes, there's a new role for Michael Parsons this year. Many of even thought that Michael Parsons had the role already of being team leader. Well, in some aspects, DeMarcus Lawrence was probably still the leader of the defense. And Michael had a good role, but I think now him and Osa are probably almost the senior members of the defense. So now he has a new role. He has a leadership role. And what has Schottenheim been doing for the last 2 weeks? And every time you see him, he talking about he won Micah at OTAs. He won Micah here. He's been having conversations with Micah. He even talked about it earlier that he wanted to make sure that Micah was a leader on this team. Yes. Micah has a new role on this team. He has moved up from the sergeant. I don't know some people in the military, but he has moved up to first class, or he's one of the lead lieutenant now on the defense. New expectations. Michael is about to be the highest paid non-football player, non-quarterback in NFL history. Or very close to being non-quarterback highest paid. APY, average per year. Which we won't have a show about that, but that really doesn't mean anything. But he's going to be in that category. And that's what I want to make sure that Micah understands. And I think some of you Cowboys fans understand, is once you get paid in Dallas, your expectations go over the roof. There's no longer that you can get 13.5 sacks and we don't get out the first round of playoffs or the second round of playoffs and no one says nothing about you. Either it's justified or not justified. Because now you got